Quite a number of courses here. Art portfolio. There's three of those courses: art, design, mixed media, QQI level 5, 3D, digital and traditional, art and design, QQI level 5, and art, graphics and printmaking, visual communication, QQI level 5. We have graphic design, visual communications, which is a higher national diploma at level 6, illustration techniques and practices, which is a QQI level 5 course, and an illustration diploma, which is a higher national diploma at level 6. So moving into the art and design area, the first presenter today is Bridget Fitzgerald, looking at the art, design and mixed media QQI level 5 art portfolio. Hello, Bridget, how are you today?
Hi, Ked, how are you? It's lovely to be here. Lovely to hear all the different presentations. Okay, so what is art design mixed media? I mean, I think in a way, art design mixed media has been around for a very long time as a really successful course. So it's for maybe hundreds of people, their first entry into the world of fine art and into the world of following a career in fine art or design, because it's not just fine art. And when I say fine art or design, what does that mean? It means that on this course, with the range of skills that we teach, you can enter into an art college such as NCAD, TUD, IAT, all listed there as LSAD, Crawford, UK, London, and that's all true. We go all over the place. You can enter into either painting, sculpture, fine art practice, media, fashion design, graphics design to some degree, more so illustration, or, you know, and that range of opportunities, or education, that range of opportunities from a course is quite extraordinary. So why do we have that range? Well, you can see from the actual course content there that it's broad. We have 10 modules. Now, 10 modules is an extraordinary amount of modules. 8 of those are practice-based. So when you're coming in, you'll have 3 hours for each of those modules per week. So you'll do 3 hours of drawing, 3 hours of painting, 3 hours of sculpture, 3 hours of fine art and graphics photo imaging. What does that mean? That will mean that you'll be learning how to use a camera. You'll be learning not just how to use a camera technically, you'll be learning how to use a camera to describe, to create visual narrative content, to create imagery which uses symbolism, which uses extraordinary you know, like compositions, which uses the camera to create blur and shutter speed and all these different things which are quite advanced. Then into printmaking, it's not just printmaking. The printmaking liaises with fine art, photo imaging. So we get these crossovers. Combined materials then is the use of all sorts of materials in the making of art. We're talking about plastics, handmade papers. We're talking about quite old-fashioned processes and extremely modern processes. Figure studies. One of the most important things if you want to understand how to draw or paint the human body, we have studios, we have nude models, which means you get access to drawing the human form. Again, that's done on a weekly basis. So every single week you'll be learning a different aspect of how to address the figure, and that will play into your painting ability and obviously your drawing ability and even your compositional insights when you're using a camera. Okay, so all of these work together. Then we also have, which is again an extraordinary thing and mimics what you would do in a fine art studio, both in an art college and as an actual fine artist, you know, like practicing and making art for sale. Studio-based work is how artists work. So this ability to take on a studio, which we do for 3 weeks, and we advance a range of integrated projects. Now those projects are across drawing, painting, sculpture, combined materials, printmaking and photography, and we'll see some of those as we go. And they come along after weeks of ideas development, notebooking, process. So you're actually building skills before you go into the studio process. And in the studio process, you make finished work. That finished work then is unique to you. There's no 2 students on ADM who will ever have the same type of finished work. The idea, the content, the theme will be the same, but the actual process, that what the student makes, is individuated, and that's one of our strengths. We completely individuate our teaching to work with the ideas of the students. And that makes for an extraordinary power base in terms of going into art college, because you develop your style, you start to have intellectual content, you start to know what the themes are that you're interested in. And that doesn't just get you into college, it keeps you in art college, because art college has its own rigor and you have to be able to deal with that. So we really equip people for that. One of the things, just to add on there as well, in terms of just the many fantastic things that we're doing here in the college, Erasmus has become this new feature, and that's just come on. It's become possible this year because COVID is now thankfully over. So Erasmus allows the art students in the art block, not just ADM, to travel. And this year they're going to be traveling to Finland. And we're talking about 2 to 3 weeks away, where they engage with like a foreign art college, and they make work and they learn how to be artists, and they see how European colleges work. So that's a very new and exciting thing for us. And we're going to do that in June, and we'll have 9 ADMs with us there in June, and we're really looking forward to that. I'll just move on to the next slide. These artworks are made by one of the students. So you're seeing Leah, Princess Dwyer, and these are just a sample from this art studio practice that I was explaining. Now they're largely sculpture. That sounds probably egomanic. This just happens to be the work that I have because I teach sculpture, but I promise you there's equal work in painting, in drawing, and in print. So we'll have sculpture, we have photographic work, and we have print work coming up here. So Leah's work here is looking at exploring, originally she was exploring the hidden science of women's practice in terms of herbalism, and how that manifested then in fear, because it was creating cures, and how the witch hunts came out of that, how the witch hunts kind of evolved out of that fear of what was actually working in terms of medical processes, from like foraging and so on. So here she's dealing with like the witch burnings, and she's dealing with the idea of going out into nature. So these works are sculpture and combined materials and photography. Now if we go to the next slide, we'll see how the process then works between printmaking and photography, and you'll also see a 3D element to this. Now, when I talk about ideation, the idea of people exploring content, you can see that this content is linked. It's across different profiles of art practice. So this is bookmaking and print and photography, and the others were sculpture and photography. And like I say, there's lots and lots of painting and so on that I'm not able to show right now. But this is also a 3-dimensional aspect and really experimental. It's a non-traditional book in a way. It's a piece of installation, and you can see it's in the cruciform. And that's because she's looking at the historic role of, heresy and church fear of the application of early science in terms of, like women's practice. So it's a very beautiful book. And these are made, we start in October. These are made in November, late November. So we're getting people to this level of skill over quite a short period of time. And these would all go into all the various colleges, but we're still, they've all applied now, there's one left, IIDT, we're still advancing new ideas, we're still on new projects. So there will be all kinds of making projects between now and the end of the year. So we don't stop, we keep going, which means right to the end, you're being taught and you're being upskilled. So this is we ask people as well to think about their ideas in terms of processing or writing up an artist statement. And this is Leah's artist statement. And it's quite a sophisticated artist statement. You can see here what she's talking about. She's talking about her artwork and how it focuses on the witch hunts of the 15th century. Now, this didn't come out of nowhere. This has been researched over time, and it's a process. So we don't start with this idea. You start with the themes and the collecting of objects and so on, and then you develop those through, and bit by bit, various different teachers will inform you of various different practices and so on, and reading and the research will grow from there. So don't be intimidated by this. It might seem a bit intellectual, but you will all be doing this as well. So yeah, I mean, Leah is hoping to be with us in the breakout room. I have a few students, and they're painters, and they're drawing people, and there's fashion people, and Leah herself wants to go into education. So that would be her, amazing sculpture. So in NCD now you can do a joint honours where you can do sculpture and education. So that's where Leah is hoping to go.
That's it's an excellent area, absolutely. And sure, there's a massive amount of work put into that, Bridget.
Yeah, and we really, if I know that there's if you're out there and you have questions that are not been answered by this, please join us, because we're going to be going into the breakout room later. Yeah, and we'll have students there as well. So really looking forward to talking to you guys.
Thank you very much. And if you want to apply for Bridget's course or any course, you can apply on the website bcfe.ie. Bridget's course is the ADM course, Art Design Mixed Media, QQI Level 5. Moving on now to 3D digital and traditional art and design QQI Level 5 and illustration techniques and practices QQI Level 5. Hello, Brian. How are you today?
How are you doing, Ken? How are you?
Apologies for running late and getting to you. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, the 3D digital and traditional art and design is, it's a one-year portfolio course, similar enough to ADM in that we have the same core subjects as drawing, painting, figure studies, sculpture, art appreciation, communications, and work experience. Where the 3D course kind of differs is that the emphasis is in terms of where we direct the students to. So we have a lot of students that would go on to do stage and screen, and we'll go on to do sort of like maybe costume design or makeup artistry. We have a strong emphasis on the transfer of skills. We would actually go into a lot of detail in terms of actually sort of techniques and stuff in terms of making. Our modules are very integrated. We would have our design skills and sculpture modules are sort of run in tandem, and as part of our work experience we would have professionals coming to the college. We had Ed Work, who was one of the head props makers on season 7 and season 8 of the Game of Thrones. He worked with the students for a full week during the work experience. Ed has also worked on Horizons, which is, I've seen lots of billboards around town advertising that new TV show, which was, I think it's HBO. Actually, have released that, and it was made in Troy Studios down in Limerick. And just recently enough, Ed was telling me that Ed Work had been working with us for the work experience over a period of 6 years. And the first year he came, he was working with one of our students, Louise Hanlon, who he's recently been working with on Horizons. And again, he was telling me that he's doing some theatre work with Louise recently enough. So it's gone full circle. So we would, again, just to emphasize that, the emphasis is basically on the transfer of skill. We do also live projects as well. We would have, we've in the past, before the pandemic, we've had students working with the Dublin Book Festival, with doing a bit of street theatre. Next year, we're linking up with a local group, the Family Base in Ballyfermot, and we're doing some parade work with them where we're making large costumes. Right, so I'll just move on to the illustration course now, Ken. So the level 5 illustration is, again, it shares similar core subjects to ADT and ADM. We've got drawing, you've got figure studies, art appreciation, communication, and work experience. So again, the emphasis on this course really, it's all 2D work, so it's quite flat, but it's we'd have extra modules like in design skills, computer illustrated graphics. So really, again, it's about learning skills and just figuring out how to use them. For instance, this image that you see in front of us here really was done as part of design skills about developing a character and doing research and all those different things that you need actually to do character design. Yeah, so a lot of the students that complete the level 5 in the illustration progress on to the H&D in illustration, or they can apply for level 8 courses, NCAD, IADT, or they can stay in-house, maybe even to do graphic design. So yeah, so the entry requirements are basically you need either a level 4 QQI with an interview, and a leaving cert as well, basically leaving cert. So that's pretty much it. Okay.
Thank you very much. And if you want to apply for Brian's courses, it's ADT, which is Art Portfolio, 3D Digital and Traditional Art and Design QQI Level 5. That's available on the website bcfe.ie, or AIC, Illustration Techniques and Practices QQI Level 5, also available on the website bcfe.ie. Upper right-hand side, apply now. Places are limited. And moving on now to Art Portfolio, Art Graphics and Printmaking, Visual Communications, QQI Level 5. Hello, Annette. How are you today?
Hello, Ken. I'm fine. How are you?
Apologies for running late.
It's okay. I've got nothing else to do on my Friday evening. I'm sure everybody else does as well. So I'm here to talk about art graphics and printmaking. And again, it's a one-year portfolio course. The college itself has 4 portfolio courses, which a lot of students tend not to know. And this is one stream of them. So in common with the other portfolio courses, we run the traditional modules, I suppose, like drawing, painting, life drawing, photography, printmaking. And, you know, we believe that they're really important skills to have. And as a painter myself, that's what I teach. And I teach the skills and how to apply those for your own painting. So a lot of students come into us from Leaving Cert saying, oh, I hated painting. But after a few months with me, they generally love painting, and they know how to paint. And actually, an interesting thing happened a few years ago where a student went on to do painting from art graphics and printmaking in NCAD. And she said, years later, she said, it was the only place I was ever taught how to paint. So that's something that we pride ourselves on in HEP, those skills and learning those skills. And I know they're all taught throughout the college, really, you know. So what makes us different, I suppose, and why you would do graphic design is that we have 2 elements, design and graphic design. And they will teach you the digital skills needed, you know, to enhance your work. And you can see that, you know, this image here is a digitally made image. Why that's important nowadays is because all of the artwork that you produce, doesn't matter whether it's traditional or digital, whether it's painting or drawing, it needs to be digitized at some point very often. So whether you're putting it out on social media, whether you're running your own website, all of those skills would be taught to you in graphic design. So that's what makes it different. And they're the 2 elements. It is all flat. We don't do any 3-dimensional work, but you know, there you are, you make those choices. So if we move on to the next slide, I'll just show you so there's an example of some painting and some printmaking. It is QQI level 5, like all the portfolio courses. It is a 1-year full-time course. And within the course, then our students generally progress to either outside, and they can go to a range of things. And that's the beauty of all the portfolio courses. They're quite broad, so they can go to animation. They can go to, not as easily now as if you did the portfolio course in animation, but there is that broadness that students can progress to a range of courses and a range of colleges. But internally, our students tend to move up to the HND in graphic design, and Declan will come on and talk about the HND in graphic design and the beauty of the movement from a 1-year program into the HND and then possibly on to the industry to work, or into further education where you'll get advanced entry. You can apply for advanced entry. We also participate in Erasmus, and that's up and running for the last couple of years. This year, again, graphic design students are heading off to Helsinki to work within a photography field. So yeah, the graphic has been running for a long time. There's a few examples here of printmaking combined with drawing, combined with lots of things, all integrated. You know, you'll produce a fantastic portfolio, and our students always go on. And this is an example of design where they're taking ordinary objects and coming up with new alphabets. You know, and your creativity is fed, and you can be as creative as you want or not, and just learn the skills, and that's okay. So they do printmaking, and you know, that's really all I have to say about it. It's applied through BCFE.ie, and I'll see you in the breakout room if you have any questions. Thanks.
All the work is absolutely excellent. Thank you very much, Annette. That's the AG course, the art portfolio, art graphics and printmaking, visual communications, QQI level 5. Apply on the website bcfe.ie, upper right hand side. Apply now. Places are limited. Thank you very much. Hello, Declan. How are you doing today?
Good. You can hear me okay, can you?
I can indeed. Thanks very much. Now we're going to look at the graphics design, visual communications, higher national diploma level 6.
Okay. So you can kick off the video there whenever you like. This is a 2-year program. It's been running for 23 years now. So we have the program well developed and really good industry links. So students that apply to us generally go directly into employment after they finish the 2 years. Their portfolio is quite capable of doing that. If they wish, they can get advanced entry to either 2nd or 3rd year, either IADT or DIT if they wish. When you start, all software and digital skills are taught from scratch. So we assume that you know nothing, but we try to get you to as high a standard as possible in the 2 years, which is pretty high. All design skills and soft skills are also taught. So this is an example of photo compositing. All the images are generated by our students themselves. This is an example of digital painting. So again, all these will be hand painted from the start. This was more illustrator work, vector illustration. You can see we put a huge emphasis on originality. This is vector illustration with typography. So the students were designing their own letter forms in a Victorian style. And again, this is all done from scratch. It's all completely original. Then we do packaging as well. So there's examples of handcrafted packaging and then professional presentation and advertisement for those. This is using 3D software to create cans and apply the graphics, again, proper presentation. This is an example of handcrafted work and where poster design is taken to an additional level. The subject matter is protein, but so with graphics, you can make anything exciting. And you can see the poster for this is an extension of the design of the piece of packaging itself, this layering of paper and card. So really nice work. This is by Julie Smith, and she's actually an ICAD upstart this year. This is another one of Julie's pieces. Actually, it's branding. It's also an award-winning design for Crannog. These more examples of corporate identity. So it's another string of graphic design. Then we have editorial design. So probably one of the hardest things to learn is how to handle type properly and creatively. It's not just a question of changing fonts and integrating that with illustration. All the illustrations, again, are generated by the students themselves. We demand originality. Again, more examples here of editorial and type. The students are given the type and they have to set it, but they have to set it to a professional standard and create all the illustrations themselves. Then we have, these are some of our award winners. So before COVID broke in 2019, we had 2 of our students, Chiara Tallerini and Helen O'Higgins, win YCN in London. And we had, who do we have at Future Illustrators 2019, Susan Sweeney and Dominic Barnes won 1st and 3rd prize in that. We also had 2 ICAD winners, best newcomers to the design sector in Ireland, and that was Helen O'Higgins and Aisling Brady. And we also had ICAD upstarts. So if you're thinking about doing graphic design, it's without doubt the best 2-year graphic design program in the country.
Thank you. It is the best in the country. And to apply for that, that's AGH, that's Graphic Design, Visual Communications, Higher National Diploma. And that's on the website, bcfe.ie, upper right-hand side, apply now. Places are limited. Now, moving on to the final course area before we open the breakout room for art and design, illustration diploma, higher national diploma, level 6, Louise.
Hi, my name is Louise Boughton and I'm the course coordinator of the HND in Illustration. This is a 2-year course at BCFE, and over those 2 years our students really get to explore the range of different styles and formats of illustration. At the end of this 2 years they will leave the course with a portfolio that is strongly individual and show a range of different skills. It's a BTEC Higher National Diploma at level 6. And to gain entry, you will need Leaving Certificate or LCVP with a minimum of H5 in art and 1 other H5 and 3 H7s. You can also gain entry with a QQI level 5 with merit profile, and the academic entry requirements anyway for mature applicants of 22 and over. You'll also see me to the course with a presented portfolio of work which shows illustration techniques as well as observational drawing. The aim of the course is to develop a strong visual language and narrative skills across a variety of formats. Students will work in both traditional and non-traditional methods, including 2D and 3D, and this will be in both analogue and digital. Over 2 years, work is developed for commercial viability, and this happens under a range of professional briefs. Students will also explore a range of illustrative styles to achieve adaptability in their practice and also ultimately in their portfolio. And this portfolio will be strongly individual and achieved over the 2 years. In year 1, you will have 8 modules, the first of these being Principles of Life Drawing, where you get to observe and understand the figure. The individual project is the illustration module. Contextual studies explores the history of illustration. Material practice is where you get to look at a range of different illustration techniques, and you do this through observational drawing. Media practices is the digital module. Professional development is where you learn about establishing yourself as a freelance illustrator and dealing with contracts and with agencies. Techniques and practices is a module where you get to explore a range of different formats, including things like pop-up books, paper engineering, printmaking. And visual narratives is looking at the range of different ways that you can tell a story, and that includes comic books. Life drawing continues in second year, and this is where you have an emphasis on things like character design, and it links very well with your illustration module. You also have professional practice continued in second year, and conceptual practice and applied practice are both illustration heavy modules. Advanced art practice is the digital module, and you also do art direction in second year. On leaving the course, the students will have a strong individual portfolio, and this will enable them to either set up as a freelance working illustrator or to pursue their studies further at a higher education level. Our graduates are dotted throughout a range of different areas of the illustration world, and this includes freelance illustration, editorial for newspapers and magazine publications, children's books, graphic novels, tattoo artistry. And students may apply for advanced entry in higher education to honours or degree programmes in national and international third level institutions. Thank you.
So that's the illustration diploma level 6, higher national diploma level 6.